friend of mine named Sandy Newman, who was running this national project called Project Vote, contacted me. He said, we need somebody to help organize voters to make sure that they turn out in the polls in the general election. And so I started working as the director of Project Vote here in Chicago, and our task was simple. It was to get disenfranchised communities, minority communities, low-income communities to turn out to vote.
He always said he was going to come back to Chicago and continue to try to impact the community. It wasn't really a surprise when he came back to head up Project Vote. I think it was kind of an extension of his own thinking about creating a synthesis between community organizing and electoral politics.
I met Barack in late 1991 when he had just come back from Harvard Law School, and he came to see me and asked if I would help to raise money to support Project Vote, which was an effort to register over 100,000 new voters. I was frankly kind of taken aback at the idea that someone coming out of the Harvard Law School, someone who could obviously have been clerking for a distinguished federal judge or working in a big law firm, was instead saying that he was going to spend the next 6 months of his life registering voters in the minority community in Chicago.
In 1988, George Bush won the state by about 100,000 votes over Dukakis, so it was still Republican state at that time. In '92, you had Bill Clinton coming in as a fledgling candidate from governor of Arkansas, and what was able to be done then was, as I said, well over 100,000 folks, newly registered voters, that provided energy and almost that tipping point. I was impressed with the fact that he was significant in getting the voters registered and then moving them to the polls without a lot of fanfare. It's just like, I have a job to do, I'm going to do it. And
I probably remember mostly the ease at which it was to work with Senator Obama. In my experience in working with folks, there are a lot of people who have good ideas, but when they are in charge, they overmanage or they undermanage. But I remember there just seemed to be the right amount of management touch.
I think that one of the most important things I learned as an organizer is don't do all the talking. Spend a little time listening and finding out what are on the minds of people, what they're concerned about. Because the more you do that, the more you connect with them, and the more you can tie the act of voting or politics to their day-to-day lives.
Going downtown and spending 4 hours on a Saturday afternoon, being trained as a registrar, and then going out and sitting in front of a church for 3 hours on a Sunday morning and getting people to fill out the cards. He had a capacity to motivate people to do that.
I made a commitment to register 100 people per day. I was facing the Robert Taylor homes every day. I'd see the projects, and I began to wonder how many of those people are registered. We started from the 16th floor all the way to the first floor. We knocked on every door in that building. And it was amazing to hear young women, young mothers say that no one had ever asked them to register to vote.
As much as I remember the voter registration and kind of the slog through it, what I really remember was at the end when not only had we registered these people to vote, but we were down at South Sheen calling the people that we registered to get them to actually come out and exercise the vote.
And I think it goes with much of what entailed in this campaign. The traditional way with the party was, start with the committeemen, start with the aldermen, start top down, spread it out there. He reversed it, and instead the thinking is, let's go to the grassroots folks.
Brings a new surge of emotion to me every time he wins one of these primaries, and then, restates, I'm a community organizer. The experiences I had on the south side of Chicago are absolutely central to the kind of president that I'm going to be and the kind of campaign that I'm running.
giving them the tools they need to organize their own communities and their own friends and their own co-workers. That's the way that organizing should work.
Brock, as he said before, is the vessel for that, to where he's saying, I can bring you the message, but we've all got to be rowing this boat together, and we all need to be a part of this. And how we need to do it, particularly now at this point in our time, is through the power of the vote. So I think what he's saying is, where a project vote that was done 16 years ago, those issues, while the years may have changed, those core issues are still there. The child in South Philadelphia that cannot read, much like the child in the South Side of Chicago that cannot read, we're all affected by that. So those are the things that I think where Brock and those passionate volunteers, along with the tremendous staff that we have, are going to be able to say, we need you to step forward again.
He can't win without us. Because he was executive director of Project Vote, then you know that he knows the importance of registering and getting out the vote. You know, not just registering, you get your little card, you're done with that. You need to actually go to the poll and vote.